Hey guys, StatsGuru here, and in today's video I just want to quickly touch on two different types of data that we typically come across. One is qualitative data and the other is quantitative data. So you may have heard of these. I just want to quickly walk through what they are, their differences, and then pick out a few examples and see if we can label these as either qualitative or quantitative. Let's start with qualitative data. So what is qualitative data? Qualitative data is usually descriptive. So it's usually descriptive, meaning qualities, something that has an attribute, something that has a label. Typically doesn't involve numbers, and that's kind of the big thing with this. So let's write that down. So it's usually attributes, labels, usually no numbers. And that's kind of the big one. So they're qualities, right? Qualitative data, qualities, descriptive. So that's kind of the main definition here. How do we generate qualitative data? There's a couple things that generate qualitative data. They could be texts or documents. So books, different types of documents. We have audio and video. So audio and video. So that can bring on qualitative data. And then the third thing here would just be observations, right? We're going to observe something. We can observe qualities of something, whether it's color, different aspects of whatever it is that we're looking at. So that would be observations. So that's kind of the generic breakdown of what qualitative data is. So moving over to quantitative data, I suppose you can figure this out. It's dealing with quantities, right? So quantities. And when we're dealing with quantities, we're usually talking about numbers, measures, right? We're measuring something, we're numbering, we're counting. So there's counting involved. There could also be ratings. If we're taking a survey, there could be ratings, which would give us quantitative data. So those are some examples. So that's the definition of quantitative data, dealing with quantities, numbers, measures, counts, and ratings. How do we generate quantitative data? We could test something, so there's testing that can be going on. We can do experiments. So experiments. We also do surveys, which would help us quantify things, right? If we were doing ratings as an example, how likely are you to do this? We can then quantify the likelihood, right? So now we're able to get some quantitative data from that. So that's kind of the difference, just wrapping up the differences here. Qualitative is usually descriptive. There's attributes, labels, usually no numbers are involved. Generated through text, documents, audio, video, observations. Looking at quantitative data, of course, they're quantities, right? Numbers, measures, counts, ratings. They're usually through testing, experiments, and surveys. So that's how we generate quantitative data, and this is how we generate qualitative data. So here we have some examples of data in yellow down the middle, and let's just quickly walk through these and label them either as qualitative or quantitative data. So let's start with hair color. So hair color. This is typically a label of something. This is an attribute of some person. It's really hard to quantify what brown hair is, right? So brown hair is typically qualitative in nature. It's a label. It's something that is an attribute. So that would be qualitative data. If we think about shoe size has numbers. Shoe size is countable. Shoe size is also relative, meaning an 8 is bigger than 9. Shoe size is a label for somebody, but it is quantifiable and it is something that is countable. So shoe size would be quantitative in nature. So the number of dogs you own. The number of dogs you own probably would not be qualitative, but rather quantitative. And the reason that it is quantitative is because it can be counted, it can be measured, and again, similar to shoe size, 2 dogs is more than 3 dogs, right? So this is something that would be quantitative. The type of car you drive. So the type of car that you drive is kind of hard to quantify. You can't really quantify a Ford, you can't quantify a Chevy. Of course, we could count those things, but when we're thinking about qualitative versus quantitative data, this is a label. This is something that is an attribute of a car. This is not necessarily quantifiable. So the type of car that you drive would be qualitative. Driver's license number. So when thinking about yours or a family member's driver's license number, what would this be? Is this quantitative or qualitative? Well, the answer is qualitative. The reason that a driver's license number is qualitative in nature is even though a driver's license number is represented through letters and symbols and numbers and has quantities within it, it's really a label, much like hair color, much like the type of car you drive. Driver's license is a label for a specific individual. It is unique to each person, and from one person to the next, one isn't bigger or less than the other. So that's why a driver's license number would be qualitative. Using that same logic, let's think about a social security number. A social security number has all numbers inside of it. However, it is qualitative in nature. The reason it's qualitative in nature are the same reasons as a driver's license number. These two things go hand in hand. They are labels, they are unique to each person, and somebody that has one social security number and somebody that has a different one is not bigger than the other. So therefore, social security number and driver's license are both qualitative. So these are just a couple examples. Just wanted to highlight the difference between qualitative and quantitative data, just to kind of wrap your mind around this idea. As always, I hope you guys liked the video. Comment down below any topics that you would want worked on. Be more than happy to do that for you. Hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.